You've seen the decline in durable goods orders and then also the weak forecast from Boeing that has added weight to the case for the bears. The spate of good results perhaps over the last 2 weeks, that has again though then made a strong case for the bulls over the last 10 days. So which way is the cookie going to crumble?
Well, I think we're going to know much better in September, frankly, when people are really back to work and focusing. Yeah, it was the durable good orders were down by 1%, but economists generally were expecting an improvement of 1.1%. So that's a pretty big delta in an economy of this size. And just like India, durable goods are a pretty strong metric in terms of looking where growth patterns are.
Okay. Tomorrow we're going to see the second quarter GDP numbers being announced. With the recent cut in estimates from various institutions, how far lower from that 3% figure is the number expected to be?
I think it could be a surprise on the downside.
All right, so that's perhaps that figure is going to be much lower than the 2.7% that we saw in the first half of in terms of GDP figures from US. Mr. Freeman, thanks very much for joining in and giving us your perspective, speaking to NDTV Profit. As always, appreciate your time here on the show. Let's move away from the actual global picture and the technical analysis to a little bit of corporate news flow that's coming in this morning. France's Sanofi Aventis, it's all set to make a formal offer of up to $18.7 billion for Genzyme. That's the world's largest maker of medicines for genetic diseases, after Sanofi's informal offer failed to strike interest. Sanofi plans to send a letter to Genzyme in the coming days that will detail the drug maker's interest and specific price points. The Sanofi board met yesterday in Paris and authorized the management to make a formal offer of up to $70 per share for Genzyme. Sanofi has bank commitments of funding that would allow it to raise the bid if needed. That's the global picture this morning, all the cues that are coming in from across global markets and how that's going to impact India. Time for a short break, but as I head into a break, let me remind you, in case you want to write to me and get in touch with me, you can write on ndtv.com/Bianca and I will write back to you with all the feedback and suggestions that you put in there. Short break, stay with us. Welcome back to Heads Up on NDTV Profit. A quick check on the Asian markets. It's important to note how Asia is doing because that will also provide some sort of signal for Indian markets when they open up for trade today. You have most of Asia trading mixed. Nikkei is down almost 1% right now. Kospi, KLSE, these two indices are also trading marginally in the red, but the only index which is trading in the green is the Straits Times, which is marginally in the green, just up 0.1%. But the Chinese markets haven't opened up for trade yet, neither has Hang Seng. We'll take a check on that a little later on in the show once they have. Let's shift focus to domestic news now. The government yesterday amended telecom licenses, making it mandatory for all telecom equipment suppliers to share the source code and the design details to address the security concerns that are there. The amended norms also impose a penalty equivalent to about 100% of the contract value on telecom equipment suppliers and a fine of 50 crore rupees in case of detection of any security breach. Arijit Banerjee is joining us right now. He's standing by with all the details on the story. Arijit, hi, morning. Shouldn't the telecom companies be worried about the norms being so stringent?
Good news coming in not only for the telecom operators in India who have not been allowed to import equipment now for almost 6 months, but also for telecom companies. Remember, India is a $10 billion market for telecom equipment makers. In fact, there are 50 crore penalty as well as a penalty of the 100% of the value of the equipment supplied will be levied on them if there is any security breach is found in that equipment, if any spyware, malware is found. But apart from that, mostly good news for the operators and for the telecom equipment manufacturers.
Thanks for those details. Yes, good news because there's clarity coming in, but in case there is a breach of these norms, there's going to be 100% sort of fine coming in. So that's not very good news then. Officials of Research in Motion, that's RIM, makers of BlackBerry smartphones, they met the Department of Telecom officials yesterday to give a presentation on their services to try to figure out a solution to the security concerns raised by the Home Ministry. DOT is asking RIM that either they base their servers in India or provide encryption codes to the government to try and find a solution to this impasse wherein, the government, the Home Ministry wants to access this data, wants intelligence agencies to be able to intercept highly encrypted data from a BlackBerry. That's a story that will continue, and we'll keep tracking of that here on NDTV Profit. But 2 days after the RBI hiked rates, most bankers, they had been non-committal about raising their deposit rates and other rates. But yesterday, some leading banks raised their deposit rates. India's second largest private sector bank, that's HDFC Bank, they have raised deposit rates by 25 to 75 basis points across maturities, and that's effective from the 30th of July. Central Bank of India has also raised deposit rates by 25 to 50 basis points on deposits up to 2 years maturity. Lakshmi Vilas Bank, that has also done something similar, 25 to 50 basis point rise for deposits above 181 days tenure. Even the country's largest bank, that's SBI, they are also likely to revise their own interest rates within a month or so.
It will begin to happen during this quarter, August, September. It should begin to happen, and it should start with on the deposit side, and then it will move on to the credit side. Minimum it will be 25 basis points, right? It cannot be less than that. But there is every.
What this means is that on one hand, while your returns on deposits will get better, but on the other hand, your monthly burden of EMIs, that will increase. Yes, there's perhaps no free lunch out there. All right, moving on, there's some exclusive news coming in now from my colleague Rajkumar Sahu. Sumitomo Steel Group, it is in talks with Steel Strips Wheels for buying out about 10 to 14% stake, and this will actually be done by Sumitomo Group's group company called Ringtech. Raj is joining us right now with more details on the story. Raj, what are you picking up from your sources? Give us the background for the story and what's likely.
Well, the whole steel industry is buzzing with, M&A action or M&A buzz at least, and this is a new...
Raj, thanks very much for all those details. We'll right now slip into a short break, but when we come back, as always, we'll analyze for you the cues for the Lal Street, how they're likely to pan out in trade today, and also the stocks that we should be watching out for. Important large cap stocks will be coming out with their results today, so those are the ones which will perhaps provide some cheer to the street. Stay with us. Short break.